The next output device, which is good to know about, are projectors. Projectors allow us to project images. But it's good to kind of stop and think about them because we haven't always had projectors. And back in the day, if we wanted to convey information to somebody in a classroom, for instance, we had to do it on the chalkboard. And chalkboards were, dusty, not to mention that sometimes you get those awful screeches, which are like fingernails on the chalkboard. And yeah, so kind of different having a chalkboard versus having a projector. And the other thing which is interesting about projectors is we have projectors for like walls, right? So you could have a projector in your home instead of a television. You could project it onto your wall, and that could be your TV, or you could project it onto a screen. So we have projectors which are like TVs in the household. And also now in the classroom, instead of writing on the chalkboard, right, a lot of times it looks like this, where we have a projector and we're able to project the information we want to share onto a screen. We also use those projectors, for larger presentations in front of crowds. And people run PowerPoint presentations and present their information that way. So projectors, how much do they cost? Anywhere from $79 here at Google Shopping all the way up to $2,300 for varying quality. And another thing which is interesting about this entire digital revolution and projectors is that they are now using projectors in the theaters, movie theaters, right? So they use digital projectors now as opposed to film. And back in the day, they used to have film, which would run through the projectors, and they'd ship canisters of film to each of the movie theaters, and then they'd show those films, and then the movie theaters would ship those back to the production companies, I presume. But now movie theaters just download the digital information to their massive, expensive digital projectors, and that's how they project their movies. So you can see these costs like $37,000, $75,000, a lot of money for one of these high-end movie theater projectors. And you can read about digital cinema at Wikipedia. I just looked for like digital cinema projectors, and here's some NEC as the manufacturer. And the thing that I found interesting here is the screen size, resolution, screen size, supported screen size, 105 feet, 105-foot screen. So that's a pretty big screen size. And it's 4,096 pixels by 2,160 pixels, which is kind of interesting. Another cool thing that's being done with projectors is we do sort of like projecting onto buildings. And so check that out, right? Like that's pretty cool. So it's an image projected onto the side of that building. And so they call this like 3D mapping projection. And they've done some pretty cool stuff, right? Like this building here, all these colors and stuff are images that are projected onto it. Or here's another one, images projected onto a building. That's kind of wild. I don't know if that guy's being projected onto the building. That's kind of crazy. Looks like he's coming out of the ground. More 3D mapping projection onto buildings, and yet more. And so there's a really cool video on YouTube of this 3D mapping projection, and it's the Prague Clock Tower 600th anniversary. So if you watch this video, you'll get a real sense of that 3D mapping projection, and it's pretty dang cool. Anyhow, that's a little bit about projectors, another output device which you need to know about.